Hello everybody, this is Purge bringing you guys a first-person replay commentary. I'm playing a support Alchemist this game. This is a scrim that I played last night with my team, and we played against a random stack. One of the players was Fluff here, so... no, we do not want to watch the Spectator. So I'm going to talk about Alchemist a lot. Yeah. Sorry the content has been very consistent in terms of type of video. I do want to make some of those other videos, but unfortunately I've been very busy the last couple days. Had a bunch of logistical things to work out today. But tomorrow what's happening? Oh yeah, tomorrow I'm going to be on the Yogscast stream. I think I talked about that last video, twitch.tv/Yogscast. It starts early for me, I think 11 a.m. Pacific time, and it should be going for a couple hours, and I think my dad is in town, so I'm going to go hang out with him tomorrow night, I believe. So it should be fun. Anyways, I definitely do want to do more coaching videos and more dual lanes if possible, and maybe some other stuff as well. But we'll see. Okay, so we're talking about support Alchemist. And in a scrim setting, by the way, this is an important difference. Scrims are quite a bit different than pubs in the fact that you get to draft heroes based on what you think lanes should be. And it also lets you get a good idea of like how heroes should be played at the higher level, basically. It's like how should things go? Like when you plan out your lanes, things change a lot more because there's a lot more structure to the game, for example. Like if I play a pub and I pick some random hero, I can say, whatever, I can play him support and your lanes don't have to be that strong because your opponents aren't as strong, generally. But when your opponents are picking their heroes as well, their lanes end up being really, really useful in most cases, and you kind of have to start doing the same things. And you quickly start to find out what's more or less viable than other things. So in that sense, we can like really break down the bare bones of what is good with a little bit of intuition. And it should give you a lot more inferences about like what the strengths of all the heroes are. So in that, at least, I can talk about Alchemist a lot in terms of a support setting. So and the game should be fairly good for giving you examples and demonstrations of how strong the hero is. So, all right, enough bullshitting. Let's talk about Alchemist. The hero in the past was pretty much always played as a hard carry. In the last 6 months to a year, we would occasionally see support Alchemist. I believe even some games at TI we saw support Alchemist. I believe Puppy played a lot of support Alchemist for Navi a couple times. But basically the idea is that a support hero... let's talk about theories of support heroes. Why they're support and why they're able to support. That's the most important thing, I think, to talk about here. Because hypothetically you could say, well, why is Alchemist good as a carry but he can also support? And why doesn't this apply to all carries? And the reason is because you need to be farm independent, which means you don't need farm to contribute, ideally. And also you need to be able to contribute, period. So, for example, let's say Faceless Void. Faceless Void support is pretty freaking garbage. Anti-Mage support is pretty garbage. And that's because those heroes don't do very much with just a few skill points, especially like one skill point. With just one skill point, Faceless Void, for example, can only time walk, which is like a very slow. It's like a 20-30% slow or something bad like that. It's very little contribution, and it isn't going to guarantee your team more than maybe 1 or 2 more right clicks. Whereas if you have a hero like Crystal Maiden or Vengeful Spirit, you have a stun, you have a nuke, and those add up a lot harder and help you be more useful in the early game. So Alchemist ends up being able to conform to this because he actually has a stun at level 1. And it's actually a pretty good stun. It takes a lot of wind up, but if you plan ahead, I believe it does 180 damage at level 1, and that's physical, by the way. It's not magical, so a very important difference for the hero. So the stun does physical damage, and it does 180 damage, and it can stun for, I believe, 1.75 seconds or 1.5 seconds, something like that. We'll check when we get in game.
5 seconds remaining.
But it stuns for a decent duration, so it does a pretty good damage at level 1, 180 physical damage again. Most people, some heroes don't have very much armor at level 1, so that means that 180 physical is actually pretty impressive. Against low armor heroes, that's way more than a level 1 nuke for a typical hero. So, and the stun is pretty reliable. Unless they have like a dodge or something like that, you're going to land the stun. Like a leap or a phase shift or something like that. So you're pretty reliably going to be able to Alchemist stun somebody. So Alchemist ends up, excuse me, Alchemist ends up being useful because he has early contribution, and he doesn't really need that much farm. And he scales decently well as a hero. And he also has some other utility things, which is basically surrounding his first skill which is Acid Spray. Acid Spray is useful
remaining.
because it counter pushes. So when an opponent pushes into a tower, the minus armor reduction
Reserve time.
means that those creeps will die faster than tower damage. Also, it in team fights, if you drop that on top of enemy heroes as they're being focused, the -6 armor can really help out a lot. So also keep in mind that those two spells really scale together well, and that's because, again, Unstable Concoction does physical damage, which means that if you drop the Acid Spray down, then the physical damage that your concoction is doing is being accelerated because their armor is lower, or at least if their armor goes below 0, then it's accelerated. Otherwise, you're just counteracting reduction, which is essentially the same thing. But essentially, it's really strong as a ganking tool. So when you play support Alchemist, your main goal should be charging up a stun, you release it, and as it's about to hit, you drop the Acid Spray on the target. That reduces their armor instantly, and then your stun does a bit more damage, and it also gives you a better chance of bursting down your target. So that's what you do with Alchemist. He's played sometimes in the pro scene right now, moderately enough. Most of the times I see him get bandits in the second round, somewhere in there. I would argue that he does have a lot of lackings as support here, namely because he's melee, and he doesn't do very much damage other than that combo. And in fact, Goblin's Greed, I would argue, is kind of a horrible skill for a support hero to have. Like, it does help you farm, but you get it so late that it really doesn't do much, and you don't really get farming items anyways. So Goblin's Green ends up being a little bit wasted. I wish if he was a true support hero, he'd have a better third skill. But regardless of that, if you just hit level 9 or level 8, you have a pretty darn good stun that can stun for 4 seconds in an AoE. It does a huge burst physical damage of 400. If you reduce armor, you can boost that up to like 500, 600, 700, 800 damage, which is a lot. That's like 800 pure damage. That's huge. By pure damage, I mean, of course, it does physical damage, but you can accelerate it because of the minus armor, so the net end total could be closer to 800, which is a huge number. So that's what I mean by it. So yeah, honestly, pretty good support hero. His ultimate is okay. I dare say it was better in the past because it used to give increased HP, but the HP regen isn't too bad either, and it also increases mana regen, so it basically means that you're pretty mana inefficient on the hero, so his ulti ends up being pretty useful. The first item that you should buy when you're playing an Alchemist is going to be a medallion. I need to like really speed this up, by the way, because this is taking forever. Let's just speed up the draft here. I'm just going to go to like 4 times speed or something like that. Sorry that took so long for me to do that, but I just realized I'm going to run out of things to talk about in just a moment, and then we're going to be like watching the basically in stage. Okay, let's get back on topic.
5 seconds
I
remaining.
think I can reduce this once we get back in the game or something, so it'll be okay. But what was I talking about? Oh yeah, medallion. Medallion first is almost always the best item build to go, and you even see this in pro games. So before you get a wand, before you get a magic stick, people buy a really fast medallion. So basically, the first 1,500 gold that you have, you purchase a medallion, and the reason for that is because it increases your survivability a lot. I believe it's 6 or 7 armor to your hero, gives you a bit of mana regen at 50%, but most importantly, you can reduce the armor of your target by 7 or 6. I can't remember if they buffed it to 7. It might still be 6. It was 6 in the past. I don't know if it's still that. I'll check when I get in game. So basically, your combo becomes this. You charge up a stun. As you're throwing the stun or about to throw the stun, you use your medallion on your target, and then you drop the acid spray as the stun's about to land. So instead of reducing their armor by 6, you can now reduce it by 12. Keep in mind the minus armor cap is minus 20, which is rarely going to be gotten by Alchemists anyways, but you have to keep that in mind when you end up against those kind of heroes. Or when you end up using a lot of minus armor. You're almost never going to get that. The only hero that you really are going to hit the minus armor cap on is something like Slardar, for example, because his ulti does minus 20 armor. If you stack that with maybe like a Desolator or an AC, a lot of squishy heroes like supports can sometimes get about that low. So, all important things to realize about Alchemist. So basically, I'm going to be aiming for the medallion as fast as possible. And I am playing a 4-roll, which is basically... Defect is a saint and he continues to buy wards, and I basically just get to play greedy and buy utility items like medallion and stuff like that, so it's pretty fun. Fun for me, not so fun for everybody else. But we are going to do a roaming combo very likely, so grabbing a smoke is very good. This is almost always the same item build that I buy in every single game that I play as a 4-roll, so even for heroes like Visage or whatever. I almost always do this with Salve Tango for lots of extra regen. I get a smoke for Genki, and I get sentry wards in case they block. And always a clarity potion just because the extra mana can be quite important. So, yeah, boots first into medallion is what I'm going to be going for. So let's we can look at the actual scaling abilities. 1.75 stun duration and 150 physical damage. So I was wrong about the number. I think it used to be 180 maybe, but it looks like they might have scaled it down a bit. Max damage is 360 at level 4, so slightly wrong, but it is 4 seconds of a stun. The radius is pretty small at 175, but you can catch multiple heroes with it. So 16-second cooldown on that baby. So the skill build is slightly different depending on who's playing the Alchemist. I see some Alchemists max out Acid Spray first. They'll get 4 levels of Acid Spray and 2 levels of Unstable. I'll see other Alchemists do max Unstable, or they'll level it evenly. They'll go 3 Acid Spray, 3 Unstable, and then get a 4th Unstable. I'm not completely sure what I think is best, but I personally believe, I think I went for a max stun build. I actually didn't look down a little bit, and I didn't see the line here, so this is a little greedy of me. If he did end up coming towards the high ground, or if he showed intent to do that, I would have started to charge my stun, but I didn't want to commit to it just yet. So I lose about a tango's worth of regen and didn't really lose that much. No big deal. So our goal this game was to do a safe trial lane. We weren't really sure who we were going to expect in the off lane, but Timbersaw is definitely pretty likely. We weren't even really expecting to kill him either, but perhaps we should have been. But anyways, I'm just trying to make sure that I don't block the camp, so I'm going to begin pulling any moment here, and things will be good for us. But Timbersaw is actually being pretty aggressive on CS. This is about the moment where we realized that we were very likely going to be able to kill him. And if I would have been there, we definitely would have been able to get a kill. So I probably should have sat in lane just to see what happened. They ended up still killing him anyways, but they were like, "Oh damn, we could have killed him, guys," and then they still killed him. It was amazing. So I was pretty happy with that. This also puts our Crystal Maiden at level 2. Again, if you guys don't know how to pull through creeps, I really recommend it. It's way stronger if you're uncontested. Then, unfortunately, he attacked that creep because it actually did push it a bit. So we're going to lose the pull. I think I did my pull at the right time, honestly, but he attacked that creep and it caught the creep by a little bit too early. But basically, when the creeps have 400 HP is when you want to go for it. We end up going for a smoke gank here because the mid lane is a Lion who's a very easy hero to kill, and he's up against a Nature's Prophet, which is not the best lane for Nature's Prophet. So Lion is pretty easy kill here. We're going to be smoking in. I have to go first because I have the disable, and we said go for it, and here comes the gank. I'm just trying to make sure that I don't get stunned by the Lion. So the reason I moved a little bit to the right is because I knew I was going to be able to stun him because we were in position, and I didn't want him to be able to stun both. So I just did a little bit of juking there, and didn't really matter. We got the kill very, very easily. So yeah, roaming with Alchemist and Crystal Maiden is like the easiest thing in the world. It's guaranteed kill, essentially. So that was good for us. Creates a little space for the Prophet. He's going to have a slightly better time. I wanted to make sure that he didn't block the small camp there, which is why I ran to the bottom right. And now I'm going to resume pulling again. But anyways, the way that you pull through is you wait till the creeps have about 400 HP some, and then you can pull. Keep in mind that it does depend on how many creeps you get. So for example, if one of the 4 creeps is killed off, they're going to do slightly less damage. So you definitely have to keep that in mind when you end up doing pulling. But largely, you're never going to get more than maybe one of the last hits, and sometimes you will lose some EXP. But immediately afterwards, you need to start pulling. So I was just going to check a little bit of the survivability. I pulled this one a little too early, actually. So this could cause me some trouble. And unfortunately for me, I pulled it a little too early there. So what I needed to do is wait. The creeps basically I needed to pull the creeps to here as the other creeps were on aggroing, but unfortunately it wasn't quite lined up right. So even I still have a lot of trouble with this sometimes. So this game was especially a bad case, but normally it's not that bad. It's a lot easier to pull the other one, I think, by far. This one's a little tougher. So he did a side pull as well. I absolutely need to counteract this as a support, because if I don't, then these creeps are likely to die to the neutral creeps. So I had to tank some HP here, or tank some hits at least to accomplish this. And that ended up losing me out on my own pull because I spent time trying to direct that. So I'm not going to be able to get the small camp now, which means I can go buy boots since I have a bit of downtime. It was unfortunate that I had to take the creep wave to miss the block, or to cancel his pull, but whatever, it happens. Anyways, boots is really important on Alchemist, especially because you need to get in range very often to land his stun. And from here I can start to pull again. It's not really there's not really any reason for me to stand in lane, for example, because I'm not going to be able to do anything to the Alchemist, so I'll just let Storm end up in a 1v1 matchup very temporarily, and hopefully for him that will turn into him getting some kills.
Top tower
Messed up a pull, only got 3 of the 4 creeps because I was a little distracted looking somewhere else, but should be able to pull this one as well. Although as I started looking at the creeps with only 4 creeps there and that range creep just absolutely crushing, I figured there was a pretty darn good chance that I wasn't going to be able to pull through anyways because all the creeps are going to die. So I just decided to stay and get last hits. Like, that frost creep is so good at killing neutrals. It was pretty amazing. I tried to redirect the aggro, but it didn't work out, so then I just decided to kill it. I actually took quite a bit of damage from this. Every time he hits me, it's doing like 15 or something. Pretty serious amount, but I do still kill the small camp. I get solo EXP. I'm going to pick up level 3 here. So I'll grab the second level of stun. This increases my stun duration, increases my physical damage. So all really good stuff to pick up. And then I realized that he ended up doing a pull. So fortunately for me, I end up getting clapped, but Salen's going to shift over here and guarantee that a lot of these last hits. So luckily for us, Storm actually has really easy ways to deal with a side pull like that, because he does have AoE, so that actually wasn't that bad at all for us. In some ways, it was almost as good as me pulling, but more importantly, what it does is it gives the Timber Saw a bit of space to farm, so. I was a little bit worried about that getting out of range, and I dropped the Acid Spray and actually did a lot of damage to the Enigma. I kind of wanted to dive this, but the problem was that I was out of mana at this point, so I would have to salve up and Clarity to be able to get that kill potential. It was very important that I did shift over, though. The reason I shifted is because they were trying to take a tower, and if your supports don't shift at this point, it's very likely that they'll take it, and then their team is going to have a gold advantage over you. And a map control advantage, both of which are significant, so don't let your opponents take map control like that. There was some pulling going on here. He actually wanted me to drop the Acid Cloud. Understandable, because when the Acid Spray is down there, it reduces all their armor by 4 now, because I have 2 levels. And Wild Axes do composite damage, which means they factor in armor. So if you do reduce the armor, then the axes do more damage. And also, the Acid Spray ends up doing damage itself. It does composite damage as well, if you guys didn't know that. So it does damage through Magic Immunity, and it does damage to Ancients as well. That guy ran up so far that I got really scared, honestly. I was quite unsure why he ran so far up, but if he came up again, we were going to kill him, though, because Crystal Maiden was there. As long as I land my stun without getting disabled, I think I would have been fine. A little bit of pressure on the Beastmaster. So we were thinking about collapsing, but for now we can just sap some EXP mid.
Top tower
It is important when your mid leaves this lane, and in our case this was the Nature's Prophet. Nature's Prophet left the lane because he didn't really feel safe there anymore, and instead we can lane mid. And as a support, this is something you should always be looking to do, especially if your mid ever ends up roaming or something. If you're not going to be able to be there for a fight, or if there's nothing going on, everybody's being passive, and your mid goes somewhere else, sometimes it's worth it to go sit in the mid lane and get solo EXP, or dual EXP, for example, because this is EXP that's really hard to come by as a support. Getting to level 6 isn't the most important thing ever as an Alchemist, because your ulti isn't really integral in your ganking or success, but the extra experience does help. Picked up an Iron Branch for good luck. It's one of Crystal Maiden's ones, I believe. And we're going to try pushing a bit here, since there's a lot of heroes top. We are losing farm on our Storm Spear right now because of this, so you have to try to make it up in another way. In our case, is us going to be trying to take the mid tower. We are going to have. I was thinking about going in the jungle instead, but Nature's Prophet TP'd, so this means that we should be able to take the mid tower eventually. So that will be our attempt. And I asked to let them let me get all the last hits right here because I wanted to get my medallion if possible. Finishing my medallion again is going to give me a big advantage. Unfortunately, the courier just flew out, so I wasn't able to get it coming on the way. Drop down a little bit of minus armor and some AoE damage here. I'll fly that back now to get the medallion. Anyways, that should give me a lot better kill potential. The minus 6 armor does make a big difference. Bot lane looks quite pressured, and we're going to shift over there, I think, and try to defend this if possible.
Dire's structures are fortified.
We did end up fortifying this.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
We were kind of hoping that we would get a roar attempt on some of these heroes, but so far not really looking like that's going to be the case. Oh, we did see line coming, though. Now, I definitely did that in the wrong order. That was not exactly what you should be doing. But the reason I threw it is because I was really worried about getting stunned. He had a DD as well as a haste, so if we didn't have wards up there, we wouldn't have seen him in the first place. But he didn't know that we were there, so I started charging my stun. And as he ran into the tree clump on the right, and I lost vision, I just needed to make sure that the stun landed. So I ended up throwing the stun first and aciding afterwards, and then using medallion afterwards, just so that we could burst him down and kill him. It's honestly worth it for us to throw our stuns and our roars on him just for that kill. So it was the wrong order, but I was much more worried about getting hexed or stunned and us losing the fight or the gank there than getting the full combo damage in. Because I knew that if he got stunned at all, he was just going to simply die. So that's pretty much it. Drop a little bit more minus armor here. I think Exile said that I could take this one. I don't remember why they were giving me so much farm, but I got farm out of it, which is kind of nice, I guess. The large dragons are actually a lot of gold, usually about 200. Using Medallion on a creep does reduce your armor, by the way. Looks like Medallion gives 6 armor, and it reduces by 6 as well. Okay. Yep. It's a pretty okay trade-off. It's about 1,000 gold for an active. Not bad. So we're going to roam around and gank now. Unfortunately, I don't have my ulti, because I did use it to jungle on some Ancients a bit. But I think we're going to go try to get another kill in the bot lane. I think, yeah, we have Aurora and Beastmaster, so we're just looking for a setup on one of these guys. And then we noticed they were also smoke ganking. So they did about 310 damage there. I like just got my ulti up. It was really unfortunate.
Here I am.
We ended up losing the Prophet mid, but I don't remember if we got the... Yeah, it looks like Wisp is going to live. But I did end up dying. If I had my ulti there, I would have survived, because as soon as I got Maleficent the first time, I would have been able to ulti. But they had a lot more heroes there than I thought. But yeah, I don't know if you noticed, but my stun did a little bit more damage than it actually is supposed to. It did 310 damage, which means that it was boosted by my acid spray. I was unable to get the Medallion of Courage off because I wasn't quite sure who I wanted to stun. Like, whenever you start your stun, you need to commit, basically. So I had to stay in the general area just in case. I also had to pop my ulti here because I thought I was going to die. I like just died a moment before, so staying alive is pretty important. The regen, HP regen is amazing. 50 HP per second is so much. He stayed for some reason, so he ends up dying. And now our game is kind of one of let's try to counter push. So I knew they were pushing forward, so I can drop the acid spray, and I think we were gonna ditch because there's no way that we were gonna defend this now with a dead hero. So
Dire's bottom tower is under
also wanted to
attack.
buy a Smoke of Deceit and bring that to myself because the item is very useful with Alchemist. Again, I have a lot of solo kill potential. I'm pretty close to this, so I'm going to try to show up to it. And I kind of wanted to hesitate a little bit so I can get close. Fortunately for me, I wasn't able to get close enough. I hesitated a little bit too much. And that guy just completely blew up. I did the combo on that Enigma, but he was actually dead before I threw it, so basically. That didn't actually accomplish that much. But even still, we get a bunch of kills, so we should be able to take mid.
Radiant structures are fortified.
Since I have my Medallion so early, I'm happy to grab 4 levels of my stun. So, I think that's an okay choice. Again, 4-second stun. That's such a big stun, though. It really is. It's a really massive stun. Huge stun duration. It's bigger than Beastmaster Roar. It doesn't go through magic immunity, but it does good damage as well. So that's kind of why Alchemist is useful. Like, I mean, just the amount of damage that I did to Timbersaw with essentially 2 moves is pretty huge. Stuns should never really be underestimated in the first place. So I think we're thinking about Roshani in here. One of the other nice things of playing support Alchemist is that you don't feel as scared when you're farming in a place that's a little dangerous. Like right now, the place I'm farming is a bit dangerous, but since I'm a support hero, they're less likely to devote your resources towards killing me. They're more scared about probably Storm Spirit than I, or Nature's Prophet, for example. Those heroes are a lot easier to gank. So I really wanted to get that last hit. Should have denied. That was silly. I also could have Medallion for a bit more damage on some of those guys. It's a really good last hit, as you guys can see. He like really needs to roar somebody. Shout at him.
This will come back to bite you. What the?
I'm the king of stunning myself. I was really hard to stun there, honestly. I shouldn't have ultied. I should have just thrown the stun on the Enigma before he juked. By using my ulti before I threw it, I lost a bit of animation time. So that was a mistake I made. But it's okay, we got kills. Alright, and now the other really cool thing about Alchemist is you can rush on so early with this hero. And that's because you have Medallion, and you also have Acid Spray. So now I can reduce Roshan's armor by 11, which is huge. I mean, it's very early in the game. We actually don't have that many DPS moves, but he's just going to die immediately. So, works out great. Boot choices are made here, and I decided to go for a Power Treads. I think Power Treads is always the right choice on support Alchemist. There could be some circumstances where Phase is kind of okay, but I'm not a huge fan of Phase. I think as a carry Alchemist that used to be an okay choice, and in fact it was a very good choice, but you don't really have the same flexibility with your HP, because you definitely need a bigger HP pool. Now that your ulti doesn't give you any HP at all. So that's basically it. So I'm going to jungle now, at least a little bit. Ancients do a ton of damage, and I actually have very low armor when I end up using the medallions, so that would be the main issue here. Oh, they do so much damage, guys. Again, I'll keep dropping the Acid Spray because it will do some decent damage to them. Now things finally started to get a bit cleaned up, and I was able to get a couple of kills.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Rather than going back to base, I think I'm just going to ulti this for the HP regen. It'll basically fully heal me. So now I'm going to run across the map, try to help out. This is maybe a bit of a mistake. I probably should have came earlier to help my allies, honestly. But on the bright side, I am quite farmed now. I have, I'm level 9. I have lots of stun levels. I have lots of Acid Spray levels. Oops. Yeah. Sorry I'm so tired, guys. I stayed up late last night to watch Blitz's matches. I stayed up till 6 AM. I usually go to bed at like 2 or 3. And I only slept like 6 hours, so I'm a bit tired. Now nothing's really happening, so I'm like, alright, I guess I go back to the jungle again. It's a little unfortunate, but whatever. Next item I have queued up is the Blink Dagger. It's a really nice offensive Alchemist item. It was actually something that I theory crafted this a long time ago in Dota 1 as soon as the stun changes were added. And at the time, some people were playing support Alchemist quite a bit, actually. Just kind of farming utility items and things like that, so... it's really nice. You can start the stun up. You can start charging the stun, and then you can blink as it's about to run out, and then you can initiate with it. It's really easy. It's a better way to scare people, basically. We're anticipating them ganking this, by the way. This is why we were waiting. That hero died, if you didn't notice. And that's basically the power of Alchemist. Like, farm up a couple items, I can give the Clinks minus 12 armor, and I can hit him with a 380 physical damage nuke, 360. I'm pretty sure he didn't have his ulti active because I basically one-shot him, but it was close. I mean, I basically one-shot him. Can we look at the combat log to see how much damage I did? Does this pause the game? I guess this pauses the game. Alchemist hits tower. Oh, that's not what I want. Melee creep. That's a tower. Oh my god, there's so much. Hits tower. Oh my god. Line is killed by melee creep. It's not what I want. Oh my god, there's so much stuff going on. I want to see how much damage that did, because I think it's a really important point. Otherwise I won't be stopping the replay for this. Wait, that's the tower. Alchemist receives inner buff. Hit a melee creep. Melee creep. Medallion of Courage. We're almost there, guys. Acid Spray. Spike. Inner Beast. Acid Spray. Oh my god, where's my stun, guys? Where's Spike? 407 damage. Shit. Thought it was going to be way higher than that. Well, whatever. I hit him for 407 damage, guys. And just stunned him for 4 seconds, so... yeah, I medallioned him before. Okay, we did it.
Radiant's top tower
407 damage is what I did. So basically, 400 damage is actually a lot, though. if we compare that much damage towards a magic nuke, keep in mind that base magic resistance for most heroes is 25%. So that means if you do a 400 damage nuke, it's only going to do 300 to a hero after resistance, assuming they don't have a hood or other things like that. So if I'm doing about 400 damage physical, which after resistance and all this minus armor shenanigans, it does about 400. We're really doing like, it's like a 500 damage nuke or something like that. He wanted to die there, by the way, because they Aegis, but we're doing a lot of damage, essentially.
Radiant's top tower is under attack. Radiant's courier has been killed.
Unstoppable.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Monster kill. Triple kill.
I'm just like, I can't stop watching this fight.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
So yeah, if I do about 400 damage, we're talking like a 550 magic damage nuke, which is kind of like a finger of death, actually. So basically, every 15 seconds I can do a finger of death to somebody, is essentially what it works out to. Plus it has a 4-second stun on top of it. Huge potential for solo killing in the early game, just by having a medallion, literally a 1,000 gold item, a boots, and some skill points. That's all it takes. So our mistake in that fight, by the way, was that Clinks was on the high ground, so Lion knew that I was there, which meant that my stun was released late, and then once the stun ended on me, I was stupid and I popped my ulti and acid sprayed, and what I should have done is just prioritize throwing the stun. If I would have thrown the stun, there's a pretty good chance that I would have survived. It still worked out pretty okay for us though, so I didn't have to feel too bad, but... I have Blink Dagger here, by the way. I really wanted to get the line. Did pretty good damage to Fluff, but he ends up getting mech through, so... I should have been less greedy. We talked about it after the fact. If I just would have Blink and stunned Fluff right away, we would have been in a much better position. That was farther away from their tower, and there was a good chance that we would have just been able to kill Fluff immediately there, if I wasn't so greedy. I was very close to getting the line, though, so didn't get it though.
Dire's middle tower is under
just putting
attack.
a sentry down to make sure that Clinks isn't behind the tower, scouting
attack.
things out, just in case they're trying to push this.
Radiant's bottom tower has fallen. Dire's middle tower is under attack.
And now we're going to swing back towards the bot lane, I think, and maybe push. I need to check the duration on this replay. Cover your eyes. Huh. How much time do we have left? I think I can do this. I might have to speed up a little bit. I have to go to a movie after I'm done recording here, which is why... Speed up. Alright. For the sake of time, I'm going to speed this up very slightly. I'm just going to do like a 2x speed for a bit. I hope you guys understand, but I really don't want to be late to the movie and stuff. So apologies that you're not going to see real time. I'll slow it down in terms of fights and stuff like that, definitely. But in terms of some passive times like this, I just need to shave a couple of minutes off of this game so that I'm not late. I'm sorry, I normally don't do this, but I'm actually leaving the house for once, and I know you guys are really proud of me. So I appreciate your understanding. Anyways, so we're going to go push the bot lane now.
Radiant's bottom
I'm pretty
tower is
ridiculously
under attack.
farmed. I'm going to be going for a BKB next because that guarantees that I can't stun myself. So it's basically a foolproof plan to not just lose the game, at least for myself. They're actually pressuring our other towers right now. This is a really good split push by them. They're going to be able to take our top tower, and they're also going to be pressuring our mid tower. So we kind of have to choose to defend those. We're going to lose the top tower. I tried to TP to it last second, but our coordination there was a bit off, unfortunately. So if I was able to TP, we definitely could have fought that. So instead, we're going to go back and farm a bit. I can take jungle creeps fairly reasonably. Again, if I take any damage, I can just ulti. And my ability to kill jungle creeps is actually good. This is kind of where Alchemist as a hero kind of becomes very useful for playing a support role. I'm getting Goblin's Greed from all the last hits that I get. I have decent attack speed from treads. I'm fairly tanky with a medallion. And I have a lot of solo kill potential, at least on the creeps. At this point, the courier was way out of base. I don't necessarily think that this was worth it, but I just felt like going back and getting my items because the extra HP could make a big difference in the fights. And plus I need the TP, so I'm just going to buy those quick and then we're going to run back out on the map. Oops. He just sniped a courier there, by the way. And he killed Fluff. That was pretty sweet.
Autumn comes too
It was a good attempt. Didn't get him. Speed up to the jungle. But yeah, Black King bars are really good item pickup. At least a lot of supports actually really benefit from Black King bars because I talk about this a lot with other items like Ghost Scepters and Force Staffs and things like that. Staying alive for a couple extra seconds at a team fight is very often going to make a really big difference. But this is the moment when I realized that the Clinks was on top of me. I was very focused on the heroes that we wanted to gank, and I wasn't anticipating the Clinks hitting me. He silenced me as well as right-clicked me, which meant that I can't blink. And since I didn't have a BKB, it like severely limited us. Or at least, it pretty much guaranteed that I was going to die. And then they TP'd on top of me, and they just finger of death me, so they killed me immediately. No. Luckily for us, the Clink's right-click creeps like twice there. He actually looks like he's gonna survive. If they kept chasing, I was thinking about going. I think I should have gone right there. Oh wait, I can still go. Fortunately, I activated those all late. My damage is actually surprisingly good right there. I didn't think they were gonna be going for a kill. Like, I wanted to stun the guy, but I didn't think I was even going to do that much damage. I was really surprised how much I did, though. I think it's just because he's really underfarmed. If we look at his items, I'm sure they're really crap. He has a Bloodstone and an Ogre Club. I am really surprised. You know, it's probably because Timbersaw's armor is quite low if he doesn't have any charges, so basically he hadn't been hit for a very long time, so his armor is probably like 2, and I was honestly reducing his armor by about 12, which is why I actually hit pretty hard. If Prophet would have stayed, I think there's a good chance we could have killed him. So that was pretty cool. I was surprised that worked very well. I felt a lot stronger there than I thought was normal. Give Storm Spirit our Aegis. We can take a look at graphs as well if you guys are curious about how everything's going. We have an EXP advantage. We have a pretty moderate gold advantage. It's looking pretty good for us. I think their Clinks has also died quite a few times. No, he's actually okay. 6, 4, and 4. It's not bad. It's honestly a pretty even game. Relatively even. We have good vision, though. Saw the fight was starting, so...
Radiant's middle tower
I could have medallion that, but I didn't really feel it was necessary. I was mostly just trying to make sure I didn't stun myself in that moment, so... I thought a fight was starting, which is why I started my stun. So we get a tower for free, that's pretty cool. We can try going high ground now, I think. We did it, guys. Yeah, sorry I didn't slow that down. I should have slowed that down a bit more. It's difficult to go from accelerating to not accelerating. Because I'm bad. Look at all that Goblin's Greed, guys. Alright, this is called choke point jungling, by the way. You basically have it so only one creep can hit you, and then the other ones run around trying to hit you, and by the time they get there, they de-aggro, and they're like, oh, well, back to the base anyways. And then they run right through. It's beautiful. So you take a lot less damage. It actually didn't make that much of an impact, because the wolves actually still hit really hard, but this is the point that I realized I was jungling, and my entire team was pushing. I was like, you know what? I should probably be with my team as a support hero, so I decided to come hang out. So TP going on the bot. I think that's, yeah, Prophet dying here. Or just beast moding, and they actually killed a lot of those heroes, so that's pretty fun. I really wanted to go on the Timbersaw there. And then I found some Eidolons, and I was like, I'm gonna kill these for gold. It's a little greedy, especially killing these two is really greedy. But luckily they stood still. And now we're just kind of looking for an opening. I thought we were hamming this, by the way, and my team decided to back. I forgot to realize that we didn't have a Nature's Prophet, and also that they were just trying to bait out a BKB. So I went in, and it was not the right time. Also, I did my combo wrong again since I was in a melee range of stun. It's a lot harder to drop the combo in time. But generally what I recommend doing, in terms of order, so charge your stun, you blink in, you medallion first, always, and then when you're ready to throw the stun, you throw the stun and then drop the acid spray. Is usually the best way to do it. The way that I was doing it this game was I would charge the stun, I would blink in, I would throw the stun, and then I would try to acid spray and medallion, and that's a mistake. You should always just medallion as soon as you blink in my opinion. Unfortunately, it looks like we're going to lose our Prophet again here. That time he was not going to get 2 kills, so this kind of delayed our game a lot because it prevented us from pushing. Just a bit of a hurt. Oh god, we're losing heroes. This looks pretty bad for our Storm. We did have an Aegis. It was a really late stun for me there.
I will rise next season.
My demon fire burns to cold.
That was a close one.
Minus armor is a bit late here. He's gonna end up committing suicide here, so. I think alright, so this is my decision making for the Storm Rebirth. I wasn't completely sure if he was gonna black hole. And if he did, he might have Black King Bard. So I didn't necessarily want to go in if things were going to turn bad, basically. So I hesitated a bit too long. Quite a bit, actually. That was pretty slow reaction time, even for me. But I didn't throw the stun fast enough. If I would have blinked in a bit earlier and thrown the stun on the Enigma to stop the black hole, then our Storm Spirit might have been able to survive. I think he ended up buying back. So we lost some gold there. Oh, he actually did not. It was just the fast respawn because of this Bloodstone. At this point, Storm is really far ahead, so we're able to get a lot of easy kills. Also see if I can bait some stuff. I'll blink on out. I just about have enough gold for the full BKB as well, so. Now pushing in isn't necessarily something we can do now because of the Prophet.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
That's a better example of how to do the combo, but he did end up popping his BKB right before my stun hit him, so it still did physical damage, because again, it's physical, but it didn't stun because he was magic immune. So, kind of a cool little interaction for the skill. If you throw the stun, or if he's magic immune, I can't target him, but if I target him with the stun before he BKBs, and then he BKBs, he'll just take the damage. So, that's how the interaction works. One of those weird mechanic things. I may have to ulti here to get my mana pool back up as well, because I ended up spending a lot just to move around a bit. So he graciously let me finish my Black King bar. So I can fly that out now. This should guarantee that I don't get silenced by Clinks or stunned by Lion. And Timbersaw also won't do any damage to me when I end up popping my Magic Community. He looked really dead, so I actually didn't want to go in here. But we definitely need to cover each other a bit more this game, I think. Especially when you're playing against a Wisp. That's something we can talk about briefly. Wisp has a very specific playstyle. He basically allows you to drop most of your team onto one hero. And if you can pick those heroes up and repeatedly get kills like that, then Wisp will snowball. But a couple times this game we ended up sitting behind people that we were expecting disables to go on. And because of that, we were able to turn things around, because it's like it's a bait, essentially. You say, oh yeah, come gank this guy, and then your other heroes jump out of the darkness and blow you up really fast. It's like, in a team setting, Wisp isn't necessarily like the biggest contributor. I threw my stun very early there, by the way, because I wanted to make sure that he didn't have time to pop his BKB. But, yeah, Wisp doesn't contribute that much in a 5v5 compared to like a lot of teamfight supports. Like, for example, a Tide Hunter obviously does way more than a Wisp does in a teamfight, right? So, while Wisp is global, his actual disables in a fight are a lot less, at least in the early game, than a hero that actually has stuns and things like that. So if you can end up being where he doesn't expect you to be, and they start team fights, then you can very oftentimes turn things around really well. So. Also, my Goblin's Greed is off the hook right now, so I'm getting tons of cash. I just stared at this and I was like, oh my god, my acid spray is getting all of this gold. It was beautiful. It's like every last hit I get 80 gold or something like that. It's pretty cool. I mean, I just finished my Black King bar and I'm already up to 900 gold, so I was pretty happy about that. Speed. Found a DD. It's pretty cool. His Ancients are stacked again. I couldn't believe it. They were so stacked like the whole game. It's beautiful. Sean is not alive, but I think we were trying to grab a kill top or something, or push top. I can't remember exactly. I think we're anticipating the TP to be top, maybe? He was quite dead. He ended up TPing himself out. I guess I could have sped that down, huh? I didn't even think about it. I was just watching. He was gonna die. He was gonna die, I promise.
Dire's middle tower. Dire's middle tower.
Oh yeah, we found a courier. That was pretty cool. I have to be a little careful about the Midnight Pulse if I want to do Blink Initiation.
Radiant's top barracks are under attack.
Generally put the acid spray down just in case the fight starts, because the AoE armor is going to be useful. Would you like my contribution there, guys? It's good. So a little worried about getting caught mid. We decided to go for the mid tower next.
Roshan has fallen to the Dire.
Didn't really need to buy any support items, I thought. But I think they ended up leaving the cheese there, if I'm not mistaken. I guess not. Maybe they didn't. I must be thinking of a different game where I got the cheese. Yeah, I am. I'm thinking of the troll game that I played yesterday. Might even make a video of that. We'll see. It's a pretty fun game. No cheese for me. But as a hero, on a hero like Alchemist, you're basically just looking for the initiation, essentially. So. I think he forgot to BKB. Oh my god, what am I doing? I should slow this down. What am I doing, guys? I'm so sorry. Alright, we're gonna go back. Oh my god. Holy shit. I am just like zoning out so hard today. I am so tired. Okay. Here comes the team fight. Oh my god.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
But as an alchemist, you should be focusing on preparing to counter-initiate. That's why I'm sitting so far back, because I don't want to get initiated on. I want to react to other people. There's a lot of BKB showing right now that are bugs because of the replay being a bit late. I think he BKB'd for super long, and it just now ran out is what happened. I'm just going to BKB now because I want to feel important. And the blink is actually really useful in a lot of situations. Yeah, what happened was the Enigma BKB'd, and he sat around for like 3 seconds, and then he blinked and hold, and then the black hole ended up blinking up, so that's what ended up happening. Oops, I ended up revealing the end of the game. Whoops, sorry guys, whatever. Well, it was over anyways. Just worst game I've ever streamed or whatever. Okay, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. I will see you guys later. I guess this video is gonna be uploaded really late because I need to leave the house immediately. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.